This is the Sony A7IV, a camera that has been in my bag for the last 3 years. Here's why. As of today, I've brought this camera to hundreds of events. We're talking weddings, music videos, event recaps, corporate interviews, behind the scenes projects, and even using it on Zoom calls, for crying out loud. Love hearing clients comment about our Zoom video quality. The bottom line is this camera is a beast, and in today's video, we're gonna go into why. First thing I wanna talk about is speed. As the owner of a media company, and quite often the lead shooter, we find ourselves in a lot of run and gun situations. Sometimes clients book at the last minute, shot list change, location change, and the benefit of the speed of this camera is the ability to switch from photos to video in a moment's notice. You could be on set and something happens and they need a photo right then and there, literally the tiniest flip of your finger and you're in photo mode. One of the biggest pieces of the speed of this camera is that it does take plenty of photos per second. I'm not sure if it's off the top of my head, it's either 11 photos per second or 20 photos per second. But it is more than enough for most situations. Plus, the autofocus and tracking features on the A7IV are still incredible in 2024. The autofocus is so fast, especially when you pair it with something like the 50mm G Master, the 1.4, the autofocus with the native Sony lenses is incredible. You will not be missing a shot. And even the auto tracking or the tap to track, you know, where you can tap on someone's face and follow them, it is very, very, very sticky. Of course, if somebody walks totally into frame and stands there for a second, you will lose your subject and you'll have to re-tap the focus. But I've had it be to where someone does walk in front of frame, they move out of frame, and then it goes right back to whoever I was tracking at that moment. So next point is gonna be that incredible hybrid image quality. It doesn't matter if I'm taking photos or video, the 33 megapixel sensor gives you plenty of bandwidth in the editing room to mold your image exactly how you see fit. I feel like it's a really good sweet spot. The file sizes aren't too big, but they're large enough that you can really punch into an image if you want to, or if you need to. So you can shoot a little wider than you typically need to if you want some flexibility for, you know, some photo reels on Instagram. If you want to, you know, do virtual copies and give your client a horizontal and vertical format of photos, the 33 megapixels takes the photos a long way. Basically, it gives you a canvas size of 7K resolution, which is 7 times more than you probably need for scrolling on social media or posting on social. If you're shooting some editorial stuff that might get printed, this is gonna be plenty of firepower for that. In fact, we even use this for our photo booths at 108 Studios. I mean, the photos that come out of this thing are incredibly sharp, especially when we're setting up basically a mobile studio at someone's event. And you get that 7K video downsample to that 4K, so it lets you crop in up to like 150, 175% even sometimes, and still get really crispy footage, and it still looks good. It gives you a lot of flexibility in post. So we try and do our best to shoot a little bit wider than we need to. That allows us to cut for verticals, that allows us to shoot for the horizontal, and gives us a little bit of extra playroom. So when we're editing, we can do some zooms, we can do some push-in shots, we can do it all digitally in post in case we didn't have the opportunity to do that while we were shooting at the event. This does have 422 10-bit S-Log, which we use almost all the time now. It was a bit of a learning curve. If you've never messed with log footage before, it can be scary to edit the first time around. First time I used log, I had no idea what I was doing. There was lots of noise in the image. I had no idea how to edit it in post. It was just this gray image that I had no clue what I was doing, and I think I did it on a BTS shoot, so it was fine. But had I done that on a client shoot, it would not have fared well. I would say in 2024, one of the newest features that Sony has released for the A7IV is the Creators app. And this gives you the ability to do remote viewing. You can mount your phone on top, tether it via USB-C right into the camera, and you'll have a little extra monitor. This is a beast to rig out. And we'll have a video coming out soon of how I rig this camera up for production days when we have to shoot for 12 hours. Now, the one thing that gets me about the video capabilities of this camera is the 4K 60. It has, I think, a 1.6 crop. And boy, sometimes that is my Achilles heel, especially when you're in a small event room or it's a tight space. That 1.6 crop hurts so much because you end up with sometimes you end up with a really awesome cinematic shot, but when you shoot like with for instance, I'm using the 50mm 1.4 G Master lens right now. When you go to 4K 60 on this, it crops it into like an 85mm. That's a big crop going from 50 to 85. So as long as you have an extra prime lens, maybe a 35 will make it look like a 50 when you know you're gonna shoot some slow-mo. You know, a 24 prime can make it look like a 35. So you kind of just have to play with the math there. But while the 4K 60 gets noisy if you're shooting with like a 2.8 in that low light scenario, if you put a prime on there like the 50mm 1.4, the footage looks incredible still. And it just comes back to having the right lenses, having just enough light so you can use some tube lighting. So for instance, actually, if you have some tube lights and you're in a bar or a restaurant, these tube lights will save the day, giving you a lot to work with. These were one of my first lights that I got on Amazon probably about 5 years ago. So a great choice of light. But I'd say that's the biggest downside on the video capabilities of the A7 IV. Is that 4K 60, that crop makes your footage a little bit noisier, especially if you're in a low light situation. If you're in the daytime and you have open, expansive space, not a problem. 4K 60 is amazing in daytime and evening shots. Once you start kind of getting past the peak of golden hour, that's when you'll start to introduce some noise. But this will save you some money from getting something like the FX3. Just put that money towards some awesome glass. And you can always upgrade this later on. Unless you're going for a strictly video only creator route, then it makes sense to get something like the FX3 for video production. And we'll have some videos about the FX3 in the future. Leave a comment if that's something you might be interested in. This is also a great B cam if you need it on a set. Say it's a complementary cam to the FX3, very easy to grade together. Great B cam, great behind the scenes camera, perfect for YouTube. I'd say overpowered for YouTube. You can start off with something like the A7C, which is what we're shooting on now, and have plenty of versatility. I mean, the hybrid potential of this camera is the reason why you should get this camera. Pairing this hybrid powerhouse with the right set of lenses is going to make all the difference to whatever you're currently doing right now. So if you're moving up from something like the A7 III, or maybe you're moving up from a crop sensor camera like the A6600 or the A6000 series, which I used to have the A6600, great camera by the way, but a huge jump to this. If you're pixel peeping, there's a big quality difference, especially when you're shooting video from the A6600 to something like the A7 IV. So if you're maybe making that jump, A7 IV is definitely a great start for a professional camera, and I think it looks really, really, really good. I got the cage on it right now, but this is a great camera to start with. So in summary, this camera in 2024 is still a powerhouse. It is a beast. So if you're considering the A7 IV, it is definitely a tool that you should be using to level up your content creation. Maybe you're a business owner that is looking for a way to capture some content at your bar or your restaurant or your establishment. The A7 IV is definitely a great tool. I feel that it's very user-friendly. Once you learn the basics of photos, the menu I feel is pretty easy to navigate. But I think a lot of that just comes from, using the device almost every single day. Yeah, so let me know your thoughts. Is the A7 IV camera that's currently in your bag? Is this a camera that you're looking to purchase? So if you enjoyed today's video, let us know. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, and we'll do some more of these videos. Peace.